Talk today about anti-fragility. This is something that, honestly, I felt like has defined me a lot in my life. And, the idea of anti-fragility is not just to be, resilient. It's to invite chaos into your life, or to invite things that could bring you mental harm or pain, and not in a way that you're a masochist, but in a way that, I guess it's another way is that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Right. Yeah, it's and you hit the nail on the head. I think the thing that differentiates resilience from anti-fragility is that ability to look at it as a strength building exercise, not
Right.
something that
As
they
an
need to just kind
opportunity.
of
Yeah.
get through and endure. Those that say that they're forged by the fire or forged by challenge or grow through adversity, those are the people that thrive in these environments and thrive in these situations. And what better time to really test your anti-fragility than the last 2 years? But what the good
Yeah.
news is that that is something that if you're not currently, or you don't think you currently are anti-fragile, then what you need to do is start looking at the things that you've gone through and where you come to this point and how you have
Yeah.
grown. Because I mean, somebody said the other day on social media, you've survived 100% of the things that you've gone through, 100% of the challenges you've gone through, and this is a time that you can look at this and say, hey, look, I got through these things, and now if you look at challenges as the way to get better and grow, the world is your oyster. You can do whatever
Yeah.
you want, but you can
That's
become
right.
anti-fragile in a heartbeat.
Well, and other metaphors, let's talk about some other metaphors to it, right? So you enjoy a good workout. If anybody watches, checks out your Instagram or these other things, it isn't that you say, well, I'm going to do 10 reps and you get to 8 and you're like, well, I just shouldn't push it. I'm not a masochist. I'm just going to put these weights down and not push through it. So I think there's a lot of correlation, between that physical toughness along with mental toughness, right? Do you find that physical activity builds mental toughness with you as well?
Absolutely, and I only do what you just described on Wednesday, so I appreciate you calling that out.
Is that bicep
That
day or
honestly is
forearm day?
right, exactly. Take your Facebook glasses off and stay out of my workout room, Kurt. No, it's really, that's a great explanation, and what I've seen both through workouts, through marathon training, through my weight loss journey, is that challenge and that difficulty and pushing yourself maybe an extra rep or two past, as opposed to backing it off 2 reps. That is actually going to help you grow and get stronger. You don't ever get stronger by just doing the same thing over and over again. You
Right.
have to challenge yourself. You have to step outside of your comfort zone, and you have to push a little harder. And by trying new things, the pain of trying new things, or stepping into the fear of trying new things, actually helps you grow through that pain as well. So that's a perfect example. And maybe you get sweaty in your anti-fragility growth, but maybe you don't. Who knows?
Maybe
But yeah, by challenging yourself through that pain and that stress, that it is really going to make you stronger.
Yeah, and I look at, growing up. I mean, there was, I was with a lot of professional athletes a lot, and there was nothing that scared them when it came to bike riding or physical feats of strength, if you will. But the idea of cold calling or knocking on people's doors, and asking, to selling things, or even asking a girl out on a date, or these types of things, they were scared to death of. And I think it goes back to that idea of, why do we just accept that, yeah, it's okay for us to tear and stretch our muscles, but why can't we do that with our mind? And I find that, I tell people all the time, like, how did I get to where I'm at? Well, it wasn't because I was the smartest person in the room, but I was probably one of the mentally toughest people around, because I could take the punishment of messing up and screwing up over and over again and failing at things, and taking those things as opportunities to learn. So that's why I say that I feel like anti-fragility has been a defining part of myself. Not only things that I learned when I was a professional athlete, but now being a business owner and a person who runs teams and does a lot of coaching, there's a lot of emotional labor that goes into those things. And so if your mind isn't as strong and tough as your forearms or Rich's thighs on leg days, I mean,
man, you know me. I've got chicken legs on, and so I appreciate the lie because nobody can see them because it's only waist high, right? But you're right. Like we're so afraid of that ego fragility, and
right.
we could be suits of armor on the outside, but we're China bases on the inside, in our hearts and our minds, and it really is important, man. I think what you could probably say that you've learned, and I know that I've learned through sales processes and networking and yes and no. I won't talk about the asking girls out on a date thing because that took me back to some painful middle school memories. But really, that anti-fragility mentally is built up through that practice. And when you talk about steel being forged by heat and by pounding, it's the same thing from a mental standpoint. You can't get better. You can't fine tune your craft. You can't get better at sales or engaging business engagements. You can't get better at those things unless you try. And if you go into it thinking, I'm going to get better no matter what happens here. If I get a yes, I'm going to find out what I did really good and fine tune that. But if I hear a no, I'm gonna figure out what I maybe did wrong. Maybe ask for some feedback too. Even if you don't get it, figure out what you could have done better. Get some feedback from a teammate. And even that is a scary thing because we don't typically ask for feedback because we're terrified of what we're going to hear.
Right.
Understanding that's going to help you
something.
Get stronger. Right. Exactly. It helps you get immediately better because you now take in what could be better, but it's helping you strengthen yourself both mentally and emotionally.
Yeah. And then, and I think again, the next part about it I want to talk about is that we are products of our environment. So if you're surrounding yourself with more people that are not as mentally tough, if you're living in a very cluttered environment, if you're in a cluttered home, back to not to pick on your Instagram, but I mean, you have a space dedicated for working out, right? You have and so you have purposefully created this space to allow you to engage in that exercise. And I feel that similarly with the mental toughness, is that if you're surrounding yourself with people that like that, if you're listening to, I used to have a friend who suffered from depression, and he constantly listened to depressing music. And one day I gave him a CD. That's how long ago this was. A CD of George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic.
Oh yeah.
And he just became obsessed. And I wasn't saying like it cured his depression, but I would guarantee he did mention, listening to more positive music helped him in those tough times as well. So if you're surrounding yourself with more positivity and more people that are in that environment, I think it's not just about you sitting there going like, how can I be super tough today? I think again, it's surrounding yourself with those things. Would you agree?
I agree wholeheartely, and I think that the other difference too is that it's one thing to surround yourself with people that are just positive for positive's sake, and they're positive in a very facade-ish, if I just make that word up,
snake oil way. Salesman sort of way.
Right, exactly. They're the BS positivity people. And so what I have done and what I have been very proud of is that I've curated my circle of what I would call trusted advisors and friends for people that are resilient because they are vulnerable. They're the people that say, yeah, I've screwed up many times, but I've gotten better because of it. They're not going to come out and say, well, no, I was an overnight success. This was a piece of cake. And I don't know why anybody wouldn't be successful like I am, because it's just that easy. No, I want to be around the people that say, hey, look, I tried and I failed. I tried and I failed, but I got better. And now the result of my persistence and my resilience is the success that I have. Let's all come together and share our learning so that we can all grow together, which sounds like such a Hallmark movie title. But forged by friendship, the new holiday stuff.
yes, I love it.
Like, we're gonna be better together. And
I'm getting a real Rocky moment. Like, can we go dance in the waves, Rich, and do the
We need to get you a new hobby besides looking at my Instagram, because you see me doing all that too. But
Yeah, I
speaking of
enjoy it.
Instagrams, we'll get to yours in a little bit. But it really is important that you surround yourself with those really good people, the positive influences, but in a real sense, people that have
Yeah.
really been through it and aren't just doing it just because it's the popular,
Right.
likable thing to do.
Hashtag hustle culture, right?
Yeah. Hashtag blessed. No. No.
Well, on top of that, Rich, social media, right? So, there's been so much in the news about how negative social media can affect people, especially young people. One thing I regularly do myself, but I also ask people to do, is audit who you're following and who you're connected to on social media. If you're constantly getting things where, maybe you were in a down you were doom scrolling, and you started following some negative people on Twitter because it was satisfying that they were saying they were complaining about a lot of things you complain about, or you're following, like you mentioned, like people on Instagram that are really living very plastic lives, that are they're just almost unbelievable, at least in the photographs. Doing an audit of those things. It's not just the friends and people you talk with. It's when you open your phone every day. Who am I seeing on Facebook? Who am I seeing on LinkedIn and these other places? Who am I actually getting value from? Or could they just be other weights around your ankles bringing you down mentally during the day, right?
100%. And I've talked about this on numerous occasions, that
Yeah.
it's so critical. And I love the correlation between following people that you think are good for you, but actually are doing you a disservice. And again, those the plastic success stories, I'll put those because, I call them plastic, because if you put heat to the story, they're going to melt. But really, it's important because I found myself in a position a while back where I'm trying to find my own groove of success. And I'm trying, we go through ruts of success, and we're up and down, and we're trying to find our own personal groove. And I was following people that I thought were going to be contributing to my knowledge and helping me grow. And number one, they were those people that had plastic success. They were putting it on its face. They were trying to put out this great show of success, and there wasn't a whole lot of validity behind it. And number two, the worst part about those people is that they post all the freaking time. And
all
so
the time.
In your feed, it's nonstop them.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
you're constantly looking at these going, God, why am I not seeing that kind of success? And you get more frustrated and more down on yourself because you're like, well, look, they've got 6 pictures next to their 6 different cars that they bought in this last week because of their sales funnel. And it was that easy. And why aren't you doing the same thing? I think social media audits are a mandatory thing. You must do them, and you must do them once a month. I think go through and be paying attention. And I do it kind of on the fly at times too, where I'll start looking at people and I'm like, I don't get the feeling that they're serving me the way I need them to. And honestly, and it sounds petty, and to go back to middle school, it sounds very middle schoolish, but I'm like, when I've gotten rid of certain people, I feel better. Yeah. And I feel like that weight that you talked about is gone because they're not impacting me negatively. I feel lighter, and honestly, disconnecting from social media too. I did this past Sunday where I put my phone up in the bedroom, turned the ringer on really loud in case somebody needed me in an emergency, but I disconnected from social media. It was one of the best days I've had in a long, long time. So don't be afraid to not only audit your social media following and people you're following, but also put it away sometimes.
Yeah. Just put it away. Yeah. Cause that mental toughness you want to build, you need to strip out things in your life that are causing more distractions, right? So if you're not getting positivity from your experience on social media, if you're not getting some positivity with the music you're listening to the television or shows you're watching, and you're not organized, your desk is a disaster, or maybe your laundry room's a disaster. I don't know. Mine kind of is. But those types of things, those are things that also weigh on you mentally. So getting your house in order, as this thing goes, I think prepares you and gives you a bit more mental space to take on some of that chaos purposefully so you can absorb it and grow and get better. So I think again, it's not just about waking up and deciding one day I'm going to be, anti-fragile, and so bring it on, come and hit me. But then you go throughout your same day with a poor diet, not taking care of yourself, messy house, not getting back to people. It's all just going to domino effect back onto you at some point. So, it's about, I think, doing it with purpose.
Yeah, and I think there's two things there. Number one, it's creating that routine that you know you're going to be building that
Yeah.
your protective boundary around your mental and emotional health. And I love what you talked about. We keep talking about music back and forth, and I think one of the things that I've done is that being a former DJ, I wasn't a professional athlete, but I was a professional DJ, so I had to
I
try to
mean, they're
match
they're
shots.
right they're right
I,
there. Or
I
they,
will never pull off the jumps that you pull off, but hey.
you never know.
So
Wait for
with
the
that,
Next Olympics. It might have DJing.
professional DJ diving, like that's not going to happen. But I have built these playlists over the years, and I've always had playlists. It's been one of my favorite things to do. But I have playlists for every mood that I could possibly need because I understand when something happens and it triggers me, or if I have something coming up that I need to get psyched up for. I think you think about like walk-up songs and things that get you hyped up, but some of these songs that I put in some of my playlists very intentionally and very strategically are the ones that get me into a mindset where I'm like, I could take on anybody, anytime, on any topic, on any given day. And those songs get me in that frame of mind. Yes, there are
Yeah.
some songs that make me sadder and they bring back memories of times that I've gone through depression too. But I choose not to get involved in those. And I think the other thing is retraining your triggers, because I think so many people, something happens and that trigger is enacted and they go to their default response. But if you
Right.
start thinking, okay, this is what's happening, when I typically engage this individual or I typically engage this activity, I all of a sudden find myself in this downward spiral. So then if you can retrain the trigger, so if you engage somebody that you can't stand, or if you
Right.
work with somebody that just beats on your mental well-being, turn the script around, flip the script, and practice a new response. I talk about this a lot in my emotional intelligence presentations. Figure out a different way to respond to them. And I had to do that with somebody that I worked with once. This guy just drove me bonkers and stressed me out. I had to deal with him once a week on calendar every single week. And I got so stressed out the day before because I would see the meeting that I had with him the next day. And instead of going in with this like, oh crap mentality, I went in almost like a kill him with kindness kind of thing. Like, what can I do for you? Hey, how can I make your life easier? And I hit first. And it was a game changer for me because I retrained that trigger to take control back over my emotions and be more anti-fragile in a way, because
Yeah.
now I was walking into a stressful situation but coming out better.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point, really, is that it's like I said, it's not just turning a switch on and being anti-fragile. It's preparing yourself, just like you do when you work out. If you do have a challenging job or you have challenging customers, clients, or coworkers, or a challenging boss. Yeah, I used to look at these things as super negative. It's not to say that they can't be negative, but there also is a chance for opportunity there. There's a chance to learn from how these other behaviors and things are happening, and then be able to hold up the mirror and reflect upon yourself. Is there something I'm doing that's causing this or adding to it, or is it just something that's happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's something that's just happening to you and you've got that resilience, it's something that you can grab before it impacts you, kind of look at it, study it, understand where the opportunities are, and then be able to apply it instead of letting it, just kind of hit you in the face. You can apply
Right.
it to where you feel like you need it.
Yeah, and I get teased a lot in my house because I work the one eyebrow thing,
Ah,
and yeah, I got it working. Dwayne Johnson, watch out. Between my leg day and my eyebrow, he's in trouble. But really, what I have conditioned myself to do, especially in tough situations, or if I know that I've got an uphill battle on something, I can think of a handful of songs that I will play, but I'll get that like devilish grin, eyebrow raised, like bring it on, because That is what's going to make me better. If I go in, to your point, if I hit first, if I attack the problem first, and if I'm going at it in a very aggressive mentality, then it doesn't get the chance to get to me. And that is
Right.
where I've built the resilience that I've built time and time again. Now, I'm not impenetrable, but I know that if I go in with this routine, with this mentality, it's a lot harder for you or for any situation to get to me, because I've built this strength and this resilience to hard situations. But I also look at them as challenges and not obstacles, or not
Yeah.
landmines that I'm walking through, because then you go in with a very gingerly attitude.
Yep. No, I think you're dead on. So, Rich, we're gonna cut it short. I could talk to you all day. I always enjoy our conversations. Speaking of enjoying your conversations, if I'm interested in having you come to speak at my event, organization, to my team at my company, where's a good place to find you? You know, how can I get in touch?
Yeah, everything is at richbracken.com. I've got my link to my Spotify playlist. So if you need some tunes, I got you taken care of. I am
Nice.
your anti-fragility DJ. But everything is at richbracken.com. Television appearances, booking information, content, all of those things. And so, yeah, check out richbracken.com. And I've got a really cool announcement based on my speaking appearances coming up next week. So things that we'll be doing greater good for everybody. So I'm really excited.
Awesome. Thanks, Rich. I appreciate you being here.
Great to see you, man.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. 5 years. Wow. Can you believe it's been 5 years? Whew. Wow. Yeah, it's a long time. So just to cap on the anti-fragility thing, remember those things, those negative things that are happening to you today are happening to you today. Tomorrow, those things aren't going to happen to you. They're not going to happen to you. They are things that you can take and make yourself stronger over time, because this isn't about just getting through today. This is about getting through in the long term. And so those things that come at us, that give us negativity now, are things that will make us stronger later. Yes, it's true. What doesn't kill you will make you stronger. But also, you know, what hurts your feelings sometimes can make you stronger too. So pay attention to those feelings. Like Rich said, watch those triggers, identify them, and then try to do something about them in the future. And so, speaking of future, maybe your future, we are hiring. foundrymakes.com/careers. Check out Foundry Makes. And if you know someone, have them check it out. Forward this page to them. Say, hey, you look like you could work at a really awesome company, in the awesomest company ever in the world that has ever been. Maybe you want to check out this. That's my Vanna White. How was it? No, not fun. Okay. Well, either way, I appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.